Today we're on pages 52 and 53 of our textbook, Unit 2, Lesson 2, Forms of a Line. We're going to look at two common forms of linear functions. The first being a slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, and the second point-slope form of the equation of a line. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1, where m is the slope of the line, and x sub 1 and y sub 1 represent 1 point on the line. So m is our slope. What is b? I think you can recall. B is the y-intercept. So m is the slope, b is the y-intercept in the slope-intercept form of a line. And now in point-slope form of an equation of a line, m is still the slope, and the x sub 1 and y sub 1 simply represent the coordinates of a point. Exercise number 1, consider the linear function f of x equals 3x plus 5. Determine the y-intercept of this function by evaluating f of 0. So f of 0 is going to equal, replacing x with 0, 3 times 0 plus 5, which is 0 plus 5, which equals 5, which we knew already because this is already in slope-intercept form, slope being 3 and 5 being our y-intercept. Okay, but we answered the question by evaluating f of 0. Find its average rate of change over the interval, x going from negative 2 to 3. Well, this is a linear function. Therefore, its average rate of change is its slope. Which is 3. Or you could work through finding f of 3 minus f of negative 2 divided by 3 minus negative 2. F of 3 times, putting 3 in for x, 3 times 3 is 9, plus 5 is 14, minus f of negative 2, negative 2 in for x, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, plus 5 is negative 1, 3 minus negative 2 is 5, so we end up with 15 over 5, which is 3. That's a nice check there. Exercise 2, consider a line whose slope is 5, and which passes through the point negative 2, 8. Write the equation of this line in point slope form. Okay, so this is our m. 5 is the slope, so that is substituted in for m. And we have the point. So the negative 2 is our x sub 1, and 8 is our y sub 1. We'll make those substitutions. Y minus y sub 1 is 8 equals m is 5 times x minus x sub 1 is negative 2. And could leave it like that. I'm just going to clean up the inside parentheses first. So y minus 8 equals 5 times the double negative is plus, x plus 2. That's our answer. There's point slope form. Write the equation of this line in slope-intercept form. Okay, in other words, so we need to get y by itself. So take this here and just get y by itself. And also we'll distribute and simplify the right-hand side. So let me just copy this over first. So let's distribute 5x plus 10. And now add 8 to both sides. Y equals 5x plus 18. And there we have our slope-intercept form. Slope of 5, y-intercept of 18. Exercise 3, which of the following represents an equation for a line that is parallel to y equals 3/2 x minus 7 and which passes through the point 6, negative 8. Okay, so we have the point, so we're thinking of point slope form. So let's copy down the formula. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. And it needs to be parallel to this line. Well, what's true about slopes of parallel lines? Parallel lines have same slopes. So that means we use this for our slope. So 3/2 is our slope. 6 is x sub 1. Negative 8 is y sub 1. Now we substitute into our formula. Y minus negative 8 equals 3/2 times x minus 6. And actually it looks like I can stop there and match this to one of our 4 choices. This double negative is just going to make our left-hand side here, cleaning it up a bit, plus 8. And this matches choice 3, option 3. Exercise number 4, a line passes through the points 5, negative 2, and 24. Determine the slope of this line in simplest rational form. Rational means ratio or fraction. Okay, so determine the slope. Well, we know that's difference in y's over difference in x's. Sometimes I find it helpful to just write one point beneath the other. These are my x's, these are my y's. Okay, so I'm going to do 4 minus negative 2 divided by, just be consistent. If I started with the 4 from this point for my y, then I have to start with the 20, the x, from the same point. So 4 minus negative 2 divided by 20 minus 5. And it's very important, remember, it's always going to be change in y over change in x. The y's, the outputs make up your your numerator, and the inputs, the x's, make up your denominator. So this is 6 over 15, and reducing that, simplest, dividing each by 3, this is 2/5. 2 over 5 is our slope. Write an equation of this line in point slope form. So if we want point slope form, y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. You can choose either point, it doesn't matter. I'll choose the, I'll go with the 20, 4. So we have y minus 4 equals, our slope is 2/5 times x minus 20. That's fine. Or if I chose the other point, y minus negative 2 equals 2/5 times x minus 5. And if I just clean up that double negative, that looks better. Write an equation for this line in slope-intercept form. All right, so if I take my this one, and if I want to write it in slope-intercept form, let me take this, and let's distribute the 2/5. That'd be 2/5 x minus 2/5 times 20 is 40 over 5, which is 8, so minus 8, and add 4 to both sides. And y equals 2/5 x minus 4. And, or if I had my second one and got y by itself there, oh, I forgot my closing parenthesis, but it doesn't matter. We'll still end up with y equals 2/5 x minus 4. So if I distribute the 2/5, I have y plus 2 equals 2/5 x. 2/5 times negative 5 is negative 2. And then when we subtract 2, y equals 2/5 x minus 4. Again, slope-intercept form is going to be the same, whether we use the first point or the second point in our point-slope form of the line. For what x value will this line pass through a y value of 12? Okay, so I'm going to take this equation here, the slope-intercept, and we want to replace the y value with 12. So 12 equals 2/5 x minus 4. We could add 4 to both sides. And we have 16 equals 2/5 x. 2/5 times x. Yes, you could use a calculator and divide. Dividing by 2/5 though is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to times by 5 over 2. Multiply both sides by 5 over 2. 16 times 5 over 2. That's 80 divided by 2 is 40. So 40 equals x. So an x value of 40. Number 5, excuse me. The graph of a linear function is shown. Write the equation of this line in y equals mx plus b form. So the equation of this line, well, what is the y-intercept? It's where it crosses the y-axis, right here, which has a y value of 1. So b is 1. And the slope, we can count. Think of this as, you can start from any point. I'll start from the y-intercept. And change in y, the y-axis runs up and down. So if I start here, I count up 1, 2. So I'm go up 2 and then over 1. So our slope is 2 over 1. Our equation is y equals 2x plus 1. What must be the slope of a line perpendicular to the one shown? Perpendicular lines, their slopes are negative reciprocals. The symbol for perpendicular looks like an upside down T, right? So I'm going to say perpendicular lines, slopes are negative reciprocals. So the negative reciprocal of 2 over 1, I'm abbreviating, negative recip of 2 over 1 is negative 1 over 2. So what must be the slope of a line perpendicular to the one shown? Would have to be -1/2. Draw a line perpendicular to the one shown that passes through the point 1, 3. So let's get the point 1, 3, which is here. Perpendicular. The slope is -1/2, so I will count. I will go down 1 and then run over to the right 2. So down 1 and over 2 and mark a point. From that point, do the same, down 1 to the right 2. We want to draw this line. Write the equation of a line we just drew in point slope form. Okay, point slope form. Write down the formula. It's going to help you to remember. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Y minus, use the point 1, 3. And our slope is -1/2. So y minus 3 equals -1/2 times x minus 1. Well, that's fine. We don't have to simplify that in any way. Does the line that you drew contain the point 30, -15? Justify? In other words, we substitute 30 in for x and -15 in for y and see if the left-hand side is equal to right-hand side. Okay, so I'm taking y minus 3, putting -15 in for y, so this -15 minus 3 equal -1/2 times 30 minus 1. That's -18. Does that equal half? -1/2 of 29. No. -18 does not equal -14.5. So our answer is no. Yeah, to determine if this point lies on the line, we ask ourselves, does it satisfy the equation of our line? And it did not. And that concludes. Let me just recall that when you're working with parallel lines, slopes are the same. Slopes are equal. They have the same slope when you're talking about parallel lines, where with perpendicular lines, the slopes are negative reciprocals. Negative or opposite, maybe your teacher last year used the word opposite instead of negative. Slopes are negative reciprocals. Okay, and don't forget our two formulas, right? Our y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. I should have used the regular color for that. And our y equals mx plus b. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.